Chapter 10, Episode 10, Magical Crossroads, Information Overload. Sabrina and Noah entered the library, their minds still reeling from the encounter at Agatha Thornwood's magical property. The air inside felt heavy, charged with an unseen energy that mirrored their own tension and anticipation. They made their way to a secluded corner surrounded by towering shelves of ancient tomes. Sabrina gently placed Agatha's crystal pendant on the worn wooden table. Its soft, pulsating glow seemed to match the rhythm of the magical disturbances they could sense beyond the library walls. Noah leaned back in his chair, running a hand through his hair. That garden, I've never seen anything like it. One minute we're walking through snow, the next we're surrounded by falling leaves. Sabrina nodded, her eyes fixed on the pendant, and the cottage itself, existing in all seasons at once. The raw power there was overwhelming. Agatha's warnings weren't exactly comforting either, Noah added, his voice low. What did she mean about sacrifices? Sabrina's brow furrowed as she carefully lifted the crystal, feeling its magical resonance hum through her fingers. I'm not sure, but we can't ignore it. This pendant... Agatha said it's meant to focus our magical energies during the ritual. She turned the crystal, watching as it caught the light. But I'll be honest, Noah, I'm not entirely sure of its full potential. The power I feel from it, it's both exhilarating and terrifying. Noah leaned forward, his eyes fixed on the glowing pendant. Do you think it's safe to use? Sabrina hesitated before answering. I don't think we have a choice. Without it, I'm not sure we can channel enough power to complete the ritual. Sabrina and Noah exchanged worried glances, their voices dropping to whispers as they discussed Agatha's ominous warning. Sacrifices, Noah muttered, shaking his head. That doesn't sound good at all. What kind of sacrifices are we talking about here? Sabrina chewed her lip, her fingers tracing the edges of the crystal pendant. I don't know, Noah, but whatever it is, we need to be prepared for it. The stakes are too high to back down now. Noah leaned back, his face etched with concern. I get that, but are we really ready for this? The risks seem astronomical. They are, Sabrina admitted, her green eyes meeting his. But so are the consequences if we do nothing. Hallowville's very existence is at stake. With a heavy sigh, Sabrina reached for the ancient tome they had discovered earlier. She carefully opened it, spreading its yellowed pages across the table. The intricate diagrams and spidery script seemed to dance in the flickering library light. Let's go through this again, she said, her finger tracing a line of text. We need to make sure we understand every detail. Noah nodded, leaning in close. His eyes scanned the page, narrowing as he focused on a particular section. These components, some of these are going to be nearly impossible to find. He started jotting down a list on a scrap of paper. Moonflower nectar, collected at midnight. Essence of a phoenix feather. Sap from a tree that's never seen sunlight. Where are we supposed to get this stuff? Sabrina's brow furrowed as she read. And look at these gestures. They're incredibly complex. She stood up, her hands moving through the air in practiced motions. As she did, the air around her seemed to ripple and shimmer, responding to her magic. Noah watched, a mix of awe and anxiety on his face. That's impressive and terrifying. Sabrina paused, her hands dropping to her sides. It's going to take everything we've got to pull this off, Noah. Are you with me? Sabrina and Noah huddled over the ancient tome, their fingers tracing the intricate diagrams of ley lines crisscrossing Hallowville. Sabrina grabbed a piece of parchment and began sketching a rough map of the town, her hand moving with swift, sure strokes. The hidden garden, she murmured, circling an area on the map. It's at the nexus of these ley lines. The magical energy there is already concentrated. It's perfect for the ritual. Noah nodded, his brow furrowed in concentration. And look here, he pointed to a section of the text. It mentions aligning the ritual with natural power points. The garden's quadrants could represent the 4 seasons. As they spoke, the library around them seemed to come alive. Books rustled on their shelves, pages turning of their own accord. Magical lights flickered and danced along the walls, casting eerie shadows that shifted and swayed. Sabrina glanced up, her eyes widening. Noah, do you feel that? It's like the town itself is responding to our plans. Yeah, Noah whispered, a shiver running down his spine. It's unsettling. They exchanged a look, then turned back to their work with renewed determination. Sabrina pulled out a fresh sheet of paper and began jotting down names. "We need to call an emergency meeting with the magic class students," she said. "We'll need all the help we can get." Noah nodded, leaning in to read the list over her shoulder. "Good idea. We can divide up the tasks, assign teams to gather components, and prepare the ritual site." As Sabrina finished writing, she reached for the crystal pendant Agatha had given her. The moment her fingers touched its cool surface, a surge of power coursed through her body. She gasped, her hand clenching around the crystal. Suddenly, a blinding flash of light erupted from the pendant. When their vision cleared, a spectral image of Agatha Thornwood stood before them, her ethereal form flickering like a candle flame. "The balance is shifting faster than we thought," Agatha's apparition intoned, her voice echoing unnaturally in the library's hushed atmosphere. "You have less time than you realize. The fate of Hallowville now hangs by a thread." Before either Sabrina or Noah could respond, the image wavered and vanished, leaving them in stunned silence. The weight of Agatha's warning settled over them like a heavy cloak. Sabrina turned to Noah, her face pale but determined. "We need to..." Chapter 10, Episode 10, Magical Crossroads Emergency Council. Sabrina and Noah hurriedly organized an emergency meeting in the library's largest reading room. The space quickly filled with magical community leaders and Sabrina's eager magic class students. The air crackled with tension and anticipation as people filed in, whispering among themselves. Sabrina called the meeting to order, her voice carrying a sense of urgency. "Thank you all for coming on such short notice," she began, her green eyes scanning the room. "Hallowville faces a grave threat to its magical balance, and we must act before the upcoming equinox." She outlined the recent magical disturbances, the discovery of the hidden garden, and the impending ritual. The crowd listened intently, their expressions a mix of concern and determination. Noah stepped forward, his presence commanding attention. "We've uncovered evidence of a faction pushing for permanent spring magic in Hallowville," he announced, his voice steady but tinged with worry. He produced a collection of magical artifacts and documents, laying them out on a nearby table. "These items suggest a coordinated effort to shift our town's magical core," Noah explained, pointing to intricate diagrams and ancient texts. "They're attempting to erase our connection to autumn and Halloween." Murmurs of concern rippled through the attendees. Sabrina's students exchanged worried glances, while the community leaders leaned in for a closer look at the evidence. A heated debate erupted among the leaders. Madame Rosemary, the owner of the local herb shop, stood up. "Perhaps it's time for change," she argued. "Eternal spring could bring new life to our town." "Nonsense," bellowed Mr. Crowley, the curator of the Hallowville Museum. "Our autumn essence is what makes this town special. We can't lose that." Others chimed in, their voices rising as they argued for tradition or embraced the idea of magical evolution. The room buzzed with conflicting opinions, the debate growing more intense with each passing moment. Sabrina raised her hands, silencing the heated debate. "Please, everyone," she said, her voice calm but firm. "We need to remember what makes Hallowville special. It's not just spring or autumn, but the balance between them." She moved to the center of the room, her eyes meeting those of each person present. "Our town thrives on the magical equilibrium we've maintained for generations. Tipping that balance in either direction could have catastrophic consequences." Sabrina conjured a magical illusion, showing the town's ley lines pulsing with energy. An imbalanced magical ecosystem could lead to unpredictable weather patterns, unstable magical creatures, and even the collapse of our town's magical barriers. The room fell silent as the gravity of the situation sank in. Even Madame Rosemary looked thoughtful, her earlier argument forgotten. From the back of the room, a young voice piped up. Emily, one of Sabrina's most enthusiastic students, raised her hand. "How can we help protect Hallowville?" she asked, her eyes shining with determination. Sabrina smiled, encouraged by the question. "I'm glad you asked, Emily. We've discovered an ancient ritual that could restore the balance, but we'll need everyone's help." She outlined the ritual, explaining the need for specific magical components and community support. The students leaned forward, hanging on her every word. Noah stepped up, adding, "We also need to educate the rest of the town about what's happening. The more people understand the importance of our magical balance, the stronger our community will be." Emily's hand shot up again. "We could make pamphlets," she exclaimed, "and organize town hall meetings to explain everything." Other students chimed in, offering ideas and volunteering for various tasks. The energy in the room shifted from tension to excitement as everyone realized they could play a part in saving their beloved town. Sabrina took a deep breath, her eyes scanning the room filled with determined faces. "All right, everyone," she announced, her voice steady despite the weight of responsibility. "We need to divide into teams to tackle this efficiently." She began assigning tasks, matching experienced practitioners with her eager students. "Mr. Crowley, you'll lead a team to the museum's archives. Take Emily and Jake with you. We need every scrap of information on Hallowville's magical history." Noah stepped forward, a map of the town spread out before him. "Madam Rosemary, your expertise with herbs is crucial. Can you take a group to gather the magical components we need from the enchanted forest?" Madam Rosemary nodded, her earlier doubts replaced by resolve. "Of course, I'll take Sarah and Tom. They've shown a knack for herbology," Sabrina continued, pairing off groups and outlining their responsibilities. "Remember," she emphasized, her gaze intense, "time is of the essence. We must complete these tasks before the equinox." As the assignments were given out, the room buzzed with nervous energy. Students whispered excitedly to their mentors, while the more experienced magic users discussed strategy in hushed tones. Noah wrapped up the meeting, his voice carrying across the room. "We'll reconvene here in 2 days' time. Bring everything you've gathered. Every component, every piece of information. Our success depends on all of us working together." Chapter 10, Episode 10, Magical Crossroads, The Conclave's Verdict. Sabrina exited the town hall, her mind whirling with the weight of Hallowville's magical crisis. The cool night air brushed against her skin, carrying the scent of autumn leaves and distant bonfires. As she descended the steps, lost in thought, a soft glow caught her eye. A delicate origami bird, shimmering with an otherworldly light, swooped down and alighted on her shoulder. Its paper wings rustled as it unfolded itself, revealing an intricate invitation written in ink that seemed to dance across the page. "Noah," Sabrina called, her voice hushed with awe. "You need to see this." The sheriff jogged over, his brow furrowing as he examined the mysterious message. Together, they deciphered the cryptic instructions, which led them to the outskirts of Hallowville's oldest cemetery. The graveyard loomed before them, its wrought iron gates creaking in the breeze. As they approached, they encountered the first of a series of magical barriers, each more challenging than the last. "A riddle," Noah muttered, squinting at the glowing runes that appeared in the air. "What walks on 4 legs in the morning, 2 legs at noon, and 3 legs in the evening?" Sabrina's eyes lit up. "Man, it's the riddle of the Sphinx." The barrier shimmered and dissolved, allowing them to pass. They pressed on, facing the next challenge, demonstrating a complex spell that required their combined magical abilities. With a shared nod, Sabrina and Noah intertwined their fingers, channeling their energy into a dazzling display of autumnal magic. Leaves swirled around them, forming intricate patterns before bursting into harmless sparks. The final barrier proved the most daunting. It demanded proof of their magical lineage, reaching back through generations of Hallowville's mystical inhabitants. "I've got this," Sabrina said, pulling out a locket hidden beneath her clothes. She opened it, revealing a lock of hair that glowed with ancestral power. Noah produced a similar token, a smooth river stone passed down through his family for centuries. As they presented their proofs, the air before them shimmered and tore, revealing a portal swirling with cosmic energy. Sabrina and Noah exchanged a look of determination before stepping through. They emerged into a vast circular chamber with a domed ceiling that took their breath away. Above them, a moving map of Hallowville's ley lines pulsed and shifted, revealing the town's magical arteries in stunning detail. The chamber was filled with an assembly of magical beings unlike anything Sabrina had ever seen. She recognized some faces. Agatha Thornwood stood near the center, her wild silver hair seeming to crackle with energy. Others were more mysterious, cloaked figures whose features were obscured by shadow and shimmering silhouettes that seemed to flicker in and out of existence. As the chamber filled with magical beings, a hush fell over the assembly. At the center of the room, a figure materialized, tall, hooded, and radiating an aura of ancient power. This was the Keeper, guardian of Hallowville's magical balance. Esteemed members of the conclave, the Keeper's voice resonated, seeming to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. We gather in the face of a crisis that threatens the very fabric of our town's magic. With a gesture, the Keeper turned to Sabrina. Sabrina Blackwood, you have uncovered much. Share with us your plan for the equinox ritual. Sabrina stepped forward, her heart pounding. She took a deep breath and began outlining her strategy, detailing the components needed and the intricacies of the spellwork involved. As she spoke, murmurs rippled through the crowd. A group of elder witches, their faces etched with centuries of magical knowledge, exchanged skeptical glances. "And what makes you qualified to perform such a delicate ritual?" one witch challenged, her voice sharp. Before Sabrina could respond, a shimmering figure darted forward, a spring fae with gossamer wings and flowers blooming in its hair. "Why restore balance at all?" it trilled. "Eternal spring would bring endless growth and beauty." The chamber erupted in arguments, magical energy crackling in the air. Sabrina raised her voice above the din. "I can prove the necessity and effectiveness of my plan," she declared. With a complex series of gestures, Sabrina wove a spell in the air before her. Motes of light coalesced, forming a miniature version of Hallowville. The tiny town pulsed with magical energy, clearly showing the imbalance as spring magic overwhelmed the other seasons. Sabrina manipulated the illusion, demonstrating how her ritual would restore equilibrium. The miniature ley lines glowed with balanced energy, and the town settled into a harmonious state. Her display silenced the room momentarily, but soon debate erupted anew. Voices clashed, magical arguments manifesting as sparks and swirls of energy. "It's our only chance," someone shouted. "Too risky," another countered. Above them, the map of ley lines flickered and distorted, mirroring the chaos below. Noah stepped forward, his voice cutting through the chaos. "Listen to me, all of you," he said, his tone commanding attention. "I've seen Sabrina's abilities firsthand. She's not just qualified, she's our best hope." He paused, letting his words sink in. "If we don't act now, Hallowville as we know it will cease to exist. The consequences of inaction are far greater than any risk this ritual poses." His impassioned speech resonated with many of the undecided attendees. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd. Sensing the shift, Sabrina seized the moment. "We need unity now more than ever," she declared, her voice steady and clear. "Our strength lies in our diversity, in the balance of all magical forces." She gestured to Quill, who scampered forward. "My familiar has developed a unique ability to absorb and redirect seasonal magic. We can incorporate this into the ritual, providing an additional layer of stability and control." Quill's quills shimmered with an array of colors, demonstrating its newfound power. The assembled magical beings watched in awe as the hedgehog balanced conflicting energies with ease. The Keeper raised a hand, silencing the room. "It is time to decide," they intoned. "Cast your votes, and let the will of the conclave be known." One by one, the magical beings stepped forward, conjuring colored orbs that represented their decision. The orbs floated to the center of the chamber, swirling together in a dazzling display of light and magic. As the last vote was cast, the orbs coalesced into a glowing representation of Hallowville, its ley lines pulsing with potential. The Keeper moved to announce the result, but before they could speak, the pocket dimension began to tremble. The magical map above their heads shattered, raining down shards of pure energy. Chaos erupted as the beings scrambled for safety. Sabrina and Noah stood their ground, shielding others from the falling debris. Suddenly, a dark, shadowy figure materialized in the center of the chamber. Its form seemed to absorb the light around it, and when it spoke, its voice boomed with malevolent power. "Your plan will fail, Sabrina Everhart," it declared. "Hallowville's magic belongs to us now.